Hi, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. I'm going to look at cashew fruit tree, because the fruit's starting to ripen, and I'm going to look at the sugar apples and the Adamoyas and the llama. So stay tuned, probably some Garcinias. So I'm in front of a fairly good-sized cashew tree. It's all being naturally grown. This tree produces so much fruit every year. It's just an amazing tree. It's a bull wally. And it's got fruit on it now that's starting to ripen, but I see the creatures got this fruit, some of it, so that's a bummer, but that's just the way it goes. Oh, and I knocked another one down, pardon my language. But see, they got this fruit, but there's the nut on the bottom, and on the top part, it's for juice. They have so much juice in them, it's just insane. I mean, look at that. And you could just keep squeezing, and fruit was almost all gone. Squeezing and squeezing, and they just keep giving more juice. It seems like it's unlimited. They're amazing. A cashew is a high magnesium accumulator, so it's good for magnesium. All plants, you know, they all use the same nutrients and amino acids, and some plants are just better at hoarding nitrogen, like legumes, and some plants are just better at hoarding magnesium, like cashew. So animal manures are high in magnesium, so this tree responds well to our animal manure and compost inputs we use here for our fertilizer. I saw another large fruit that's almost ready that I see the creatures haven't got right there. It's not yellow yet, but there's so much fruit on this that's going to be coming on strong now. When this tree starts up, I get about 30 ripe fruit a day. At least that's what it was last year, but this year actually looks better than last. And they're just starting to plump up. They just go from small to large and ripe in one day, basically. So I saw another ripe fruit over here. I'm trying to see where it's at. I have picked these seeds when they're green like this, and they do germinate, so it's not really a problem. This is where the nut of the cashew is, and the top part is the fruit. Let's see if I can see that fruit that was just about going to start ripening. Thought it was around here somewhere. Oh, there's one. Right there, see? There's the fruit. And it gets about twice that size. They're fairly good size. And the juice is really delicious. You can't really eat the fruit because it has a weird texture that's a lot like a sponge. So it's like, you can't really chew it. It's just got this weird fiber in it. There's another fruit. But look at all the fruitlets on this tree. It's a yellow fruited variety, obviously. And when it starts raining, it just starts cranking out fruit. I didn't think that it would set fruit unless it rained, but it was starting to set fruit during the drought, so that's not true. Our jackfruits are all getting re-leafed with zero dieback, and the lychees that were damaged from the drought that we get every year, this time of year, because we dry farm, are all leafing out, so I haven't noticed any dieback. So I'm going to talk a little bit about amino acids. I've talked about this before. Amino acids are how plants store nitrogen in their roots. They can send the nitrogen from their leaf tissue to their roots during times of stress. So if there's a freeze coming or a weather event, like a hurricane, probably they send the nitrogen into the roots to be stored, and they do it in the form of amino acids. And amino acids are really important for mitochondrial health. It's not the nitrogen that's important for your plant's health, it's the nitrogen in the form of amino acids. And just like for our metabolism, it all comes down to amino acids. Amino acids are the proteins. They're the building blocks of life. And in metabolic health, everyone focuses for neurological health. So they're finding that keto diets help like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and I think I saw maybe autism, but I'm not sure. But anyway, neurological disorders. So a lot of metabolic doctors prescribe ketogenic diets, and a lot of the molecular health clinicians, doctors basically, molecular health clinicians also. Here's this jackfruit that is the J31 that it was flowering during the winter, but I see it's not flowering now, but it's going to set fruit this year for sure. I'm not worried about it. It was because of the drought, it like stopped, but that's why we get fruit in the winter, because once the rains start, then they start up again. But anyway, so the doctors focus on the ketogenic diet, but you can get ketos from plant-based diets, and a lot of the problems with our food system today is that the nutrients have been depleted from our soils, and the nutrients include the proteins, the amino acids. The amino acids are the proteins. And now the metabolic doctors find that the amino acids that you get from the ketone diet are what's in short supply. And in fact, the peptides, which are long chain amino acids, are what is used to make the new diet drugs that everyone's using, the shots. They're concentrated peptides, amino acid chains that obviously we're short of in our food system, or we wouldn't have to be taking them in a shot form. So people aren't getting the nutrients they need from their food. And it's because of the lack of amino acids in our soils, which you get from manures or fish emulsion or animal-based compost. So they have a higher amount of, look at this MB tree. I'm sending out fruit tomorrow, probably the smaller orders of 10 to 15. And then my friend Carson ordered 50 fruit. I'm going to send him later in the week. But they're, I had to fill a bunch of people that came by that wanted fruit. So I got them first, and Monday I'm going to get the mail order fruit. So the proteins, the amino acids, speed, are needed for photosynthesis and growth and hormone signaling, and everything relies on amino acids. And because our amino acids have been depleted from our soils due to oxidation and the way we manage and feed nitrogen to plants in the form of urea, they're low in amino acids, and therefore our wheat is like, I think it was, I don't know, 60% lower protein than it was 70 years ago, because of our soils. Our soils are damaged. And if you're using just a plant-based system with no animal products, chances are you need to add some sort of animal amino acid, high amino acid animal manure to your system in order to get it to run optimally. I think I can do a link to a study I read on it. It was like cotton cotton compost or cow manure compost, and there just was no comparison. There's just so much more amino acids in the cow manure. Chicken manure has a lot of amino acids. It's got a lot of higher nitrogen because it has more amino acids in it. Amino acids is where plants get their nitrogen. Their preferred source of nitrogen. Amino acids are in mushrooms, so we eat lots of mushrooms around here. So I was like, why don't they ever say eat mushrooms? Oyster mushrooms, I believe, there's a few have all 9 of the amino acids that we can't make. So they're a good source of amino acids and other minerals. Organic mineral fertilizers is the future, and you get that from an easy source to get it from is manures. But our manures today from our agricultural systems is all polluted because they use GMO grains to feed the chickens. They use glyphosate infused grains to feed the cattle. They use all kinds of pollutants. They feed the cattle and the chickens and the pigs all kinds of pollutants, just like they do us in our processed food or in our industrial grown food, that prevents the uptake of nutrients or cellular plants and humans alike getting the nutrients, the energy they need, because they can't process the amino acid because they don't have the enzymes, or the enzyme cycle is disrupted from glyphosate. So it's a real problem. So finding clean manure is hard to do. You have to know your manure source just like you need to know your grower source. So look at this Quaimak. Moringa is also another good source of amino acids. So I found that amino acids, moringa cured me of my depression that I had severely for several years, and I started dosing myself with about a quarter cup of moringa powder a day, organic moringa powder, and my depression went away. I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you my experience, so please check with your doctor before you decide to go on any of this stuff I'm saying. I'm just saying what worked for me, but all the information that pretty much that the doctors have is available now online for free, so people can teach themselves. And fortunately, I was able to teach myself how to fix my health issues, and it was because of the high amino content of moringa, that amino acid content of moringa, that I was able to fix my neurological issues. And I still had some issues, but it was all because of gut dysbiosis, I believe, caused by glyphosate. And so eating a clean diet and keeping your system clean helped. So people come by here, and my friend Frank was one of these people that assumed and would basically argue that they needed to leave their little tree seedlings in pots. But it seems like everyone is fed this information, usually from growers that they buy the plant from. But I discovered, I'm not saying that my way is right, I'm just saying what works for me here. And I think they're wrong leaving your plant in a pot, especially the Garcinias. They say to do it for 2 years. But your root architecture, your phenotype of the root cannot be, it cannot grow in a natural root architecture mode. If the long taproot of the Garcinia is wrapped around the pot. And I found that planting little trees this small, I'm getting ready to plant this citrus in the ground. We don't have greening here. This is how small I plant them, and I don't plant them, and I don't water them in, and I plant them even during drought. And they all seem to survive, and we don't have any greening issue. I buy organic fruit. This particular fruit came from Virginia Fruit Grower, XG. This is the Clementino Rubino, I believe, and or this could be the other one, but one of them is Clementino Rubino, and one is my ginger lime that he gave me, the Bangladeshi lime. Both really good fruit. Clementino Rubino, I think, was the best citrus I've ever had from Virginia Fruit Grower. So I was quite excited. I did buy some more seeds from it, but none of the seeds germinated that I bought online. I'm never buying seeds online of citrus again because they've never germinated for me. You got to get fresh citrus seeds, so fresh organic fruit is ideal. But if you can't get organic fruit, you can buy conventional fruit, but sometimes that fruit hasn't germinated for me. So our citrus is doing quite well. So I plant them very small in the ground, and I do it bare root. And my friend Frank went round and round with me for 4 years because he just swore that the trees needed to stay in the pots for a certain, and he needed up pot. He just spent hours and hours transplanting all these plants like every year into bigger pots for 2-3 years, and then put them in the ground, and to find out that they end up dying anyway when he tried to grow them naturally like this. And so he finally has evolved. That's a process. We all evolve, and when we grow. But when you grow on a scale like this, you got to be a little bit smarter than I think than if you have a small yard, and you can't overthink everything. Look at this freaking intermediate tree. It's covered in flowers. Smells so good. I could smell it from here. All that white stuff is flowers, and the green stuff is fruit. It's a pretty good flowering on that finally. It didn't do a really good early spring flowering, but it's doing a good one now. Intermediate Garcinia fruits year-round. So nothing is more important for a Garcinia than to let its root architecture be expressed naturally. So the phenotype expressed naturally rather than compromised because it's being grown in a plastic pot, which the pollutants in plastic pots damage the mitochondria of your tree. So I direct sow my seeds of Garcinias directly in the ground. Not always. Sometimes I put them in pots, which is the case with this Brazilian Xerapu, the Brazilian button mangosteen. Where is it? It's not here. I have it here somewhere. I saw it pop up. Maybe it's right here. Nope. Anyway, it's about this tall, and I need to plant it before it gets any taller because I don't want the root architecture to be damaged. And I do not grow in plastic pots. I know a lot of you can overlook this, but all those PFAS that are in plastic pots accumulate in your plant, and when you consume the fruit that is grown from plants that are being grown in plastic pots, you're eating PFAS, and they accumulate in you. So it's a cascading effect of stacking more and more pollutants, and they damage mitochondria in you and in your tree. So every little advantage you can get to get your tree to optimize its health is just like with us. We need to look at it. And I can't get away from plastics. Here's a steak that's plastic. I have them too. I have some old tubing. I have this PEX tubing from when I connected some of my trees to water after we got a well. Some of our grafted trees, in fact, all of our grafted trees, except for the mangoes, and I think just the mangoes I didn't connect, and one achachiro. But the one achachiro I never connected to water is our largest one, other than our fruiting tree. So, and it's growing in full sun. So people have all these rules that they get from the people that sell them the plant, but nursery growers generally are not the best growers on how to grow plants. They know how to start them and get them going and sell them. It doesn't mean they're healthy. It means that they know how to force feed them. But yeah, you can give trees lots of nitrogen and water and they'll grow super fast. Is that a healthy tree? Probably not. Look at this citrus. This citrus is doing a huge bloom. Huge bloom. I thought it was a kumquat, but I'm beginning to think it's not a kumquat because the fruit is getting round. So it's probably a sweet orange or a blood orange, because that's the only other thing it could be. It's not a Miko lemon, but it's funny how it has an earlier crop. The kumquat's been known to continuously fruit, but I don't know for sure what this is because I don't mark any of my trees. We grow about 15 different types of citrus. They're all seed grown. None of them have greening. We don't have greening issues because we focus on soil health. We feed a high amino acid probiotic to our system. And then we also feed it a lot of fiber in the form of hay, prebiotic. So it's the plant material doesn't contain the amount of amino acids as the animal manures because it's concentrated plants. That's why. Plants get their amino acids from the soil and probably through the air, I would think. They get it from the biology also. So the biology is fed to the nutrients are fed to the plant through biology, and the biology is where they get the enzymes. So all amino acids need a I'm going to look at that other MB. I could see it from here. All amino acids need enzymes in order for the chemical process to extract the energy from the protein on a cellular level. So if you don't have the biology, you're not going to have a totally functional system. Biology lives in the living roots. A lot of people like to just use mulch, but where the biology lives is in living roots. So I like a combination of mulch with living roots. I think that's ideal. Look at that MB tree. I've got a lot of fruit off this already. This is the first year this tree has given me fruit. It gave me fruit off time before, so it produced fruit in the summer, but it would drop all its fruit. I knew it was a female tree. There's still a lot of questions that people say. They still ask me when they come over here, even though I've said it 1,000 times. Male trees are not needed to produce fruit for the MB, and I'm positive they do not increase fruit set. So, in fact, this tree is starting to flower, and it has a little fruit on it right now. I'm pretty certain that this little tiny fruit is going to drop off because it's being started in the summer, but all summer long it does this, and then when they get a little bit bigger than this, then they drop off. So I'm pretty certain that the non-pollinated fruit produces more than one seed also. I don't know that for sure, but this tree has a larger amount of two-seeded fruit than the other tree, and there's no pollinator for this one. So I'm going to taste this fruit. Still a little tart. Ugh. This fruit is sweet when it's ripe. This wasn't quite ripe. So if you got fruit from me, yesterday, I wouldn't eat it today. I'd wait a couple days. Because it's not supposed to be sweet or tart. It's supposed to be sweet. And the Garcinia livingstoneae ripens off the tree. So the monoecious female, all female Garcinia livingstoneae are monoecious. They do not need a male to pollinate them. And I believe if they're unpollinated, they should produce seeds that only produce female plants. But I do not know that for sure, so don't take that as truth. That's just a theory I have, but I would bet money that's the case. Here's our cacao. It's starting to leaf out quite well, even up top. So I showed that during drought. Oh, I got to get up to the sugar apples, move this video along. Such good. You can tell it's good for you. Well, it's a sweet fruit, and what are these seeds? Oh, I was like, what seeds do I have? I have my cashew seeds in my pocket. So there's another, since I talked about the pollinated Garcinia livingstoneae, this is a male Humbromiana tree that's flowering well. So I'm hoping my female that has fruit on it flowers and produces fruit. It's got fruit on it now. So this is a male tree, and it's starting to flower again. And I believe this female tree, this is a monoecious tree, but all the fruit was pollinated, I believe, because it was so close to the tree. And I don't see any double fruited, no double fruited fruit on here, or double seed fruited, double seed fruit on there. It's all single seed. I think it's because it was pollinated. I'm kind of beginning to think that's the case. Was the unpollinated tree, that seems to be, it's mostly produced just two-seeded fruit, but not totally, but much more so than the pollinated tree. So we're selling those for $3 each. I've got quite a bit of orders, but I don't think I'm completely sold out yet. You got to text me. I went through my junk mail this morning. I saw I had messages from TFF about MB, Tropical Fruit Forum. I do not go on Tropical Fruit Forum. I have an email for a purpose. I don't go through third parties to get my information, get my orders. I stopped going on TFF. I do not look at TFF. It's just too much drama for me. And I get frustrated when I see so much wrong information being passed around as fact. So it's just not for me. The Garcinia madruno, I've sold 20 fruit of this. I've been letting people taste it when they come by, but I don't know, Carson, if I'm gonna have 20 fruit all at once for you on this. I did count them. This tree is still flowering, so it's still producing more fruit. This tree is super productive. This tree started flowering at about 1.5 feet. And it was planted in full sun. All of our fruiting Garcinia trees were all planted in full sun, dry farmed. Because we didn't connect any of our trees to water for the first 1.5 years. And then we connected them to water because my partner was freaking out because we were still mowing and putting wood chips down, which was not working. That's why we evolved to this system. And I had to figure out what was going on. So that's why I share it. I've focus my life to trying to learn about plant metabolism and growing naturally. And it turns out that my metabolism and the plant metabolism are pretty much the same. So this is a Garcinia brasiliensis. Nobody wanted this. They want the Garcinia gardneriana. But people want orders of Gardneriana. The first fruiting of this, Ben, this is to you. You wanted Gardneriana seeds, and I think my friend Carson wanted them, but this had such a small crop, the first blooming, which kind of surprised me, that there's no way I'm going to be able to fulfill those orders. And then they did not like the MB that ripen up kind of all at once or start ripening up. It's like a drawn out, extended, here's a fruit, there's a fruit, and the trees aren't huge. So I only have one Gardneriana tree that produces, though I've planted hundreds of this fruit everywhere. So in the future, we're going to have a lot of fruit of this, just like the Braziliensis. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get you any Gardneriana, maybe one or two, but it ain't going to be 50 or 10 or anything like that. So I don't even think there's 50 fruit on there. Here's our Garcinia syllabica. This fruit looks like it's changing. It's starting to change. Does that mean it's going to start turning red? It doesn't look big enough. This is the first time this tree is fruited. So I'm looking for flowers on here, but I don't see any flowers, but it looks like it's getting some new growth. So it might be getting ready to put some flowers out. So when you're using high amino acids and you focus on soil health, your plant's ability to signal and function normally, which includes hormones and stuff, are all a cascading effect triggered by the amount of amino acids you have in your soil. And biology, because the biology is where the amino acids get the enzymes from. So it's a holistic system that it's all interconnected, and you just can't focus on one input, say plants. It's just I think you have to have the animal input in Florida, because if you have lots of rabbits in your neighborhood, that might be enough. But if you can find some holistically grown cow manure, which we're going to eventually start selling once we start our zebu farm up in central Florida, further north. We're going in 2 weeks to purchase a farm. I'm quite excited about that up there to do zebus on. So we're going to sell dried zebu manure. I'm just not really into the selling of fruit trees, fruit, and I like when people come by here and they want to see and they want to learn and they want to grow naturally or grow regeneratively in Florida. I like helping people like that. That's what I enjoy. I don't really enjoy marketing fruit and selling fruit and schlepping fruit and boxing fruit, and this has been the year that I finally put my foot down and just really I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just gonna do a crappy job, do it minimally, not really push the fruit. That's a mulberry. Okay, so the Garcinia Gardneriana, people want, or not Gardneriana, this is the hybrid. Somebody was here, thought it was the Aristata because it's a sweet lemon drop size fruit, but no, this is not the Aristata. We don't have the Aristata, but I think my friend that was here yesterday, Joe, said he was going to bring me a little seedling. I'm not sure, but I thought I heard that. I saw they have seeds for sale for $4 each, though. Online, so I could get seeds of it. But this fruit is, people want this. I might be able to get 10 fruit of this. This tree only produces one crop a year. This is a hybrid, I believe, of Intermedia with Braziliensis, or Gardneria with Braziliensis, but it's a sweet variety, lemon drop mangosteen. It's our own variety. And I didn't know what this tree was. This one's kind of green, so it might not be that sweet. Oh, yeah, it's sweet. They're good. They're good fruit. It's the best tasting lemon drop. I like sweet fruit over sour fruit. That's why I'm not a big fan of Madruno, because Madruno is tart. I would probably prefer Garcinia acuminata for a bumpy lemon type fruit. Because the acuminata, it looks much like the Madruno, but has a has a sweet taste rather than a sour taste. This one has a acid component to it, but it's perfectly balanced. Very nice fruit. Mangoes are doing good. Guanabana is doing good. We still don't have any mangoes to pick. It's June already, and this is the latest we've ever had them. We have lots of pea-sized mangoes on our trees. When's that going to be ready? Is it going to make it through summer? I don't know. The heat affects fruit that generally is ripe early summer, you know, so it develops during spring. And then early summer, then it becomes ripe usually, or late spring is the case here. Usually in May we have lots of mangoes. Usually starting the end of April we have mangoes, but so far this year, 0 mangoes. Look at our Miko lemons. They didn't get attacked by the birds this year. And the fruit is like super clean, lovely, big fruit. It looks great. There's lots of fruit on it. And then this tree has smaller fruit. The trees look really good. I gave them a big pile. I'd never done that to my citrus, but I thought, what will happen? Well, they don't get leaf miner, barely, and they look great even after a drought, a horrible drought. They just never even showed any drought stress. And we don't have greening. We don't have green in our citrus. Our citrus is like super healthy, but we cannot sell citrus fruit. Isn't that weird? You can't sell it unless they spray it. What good is that? Poison your fruit. No, I don't do that. There's that achachiro that I said was the only one not connected to water, and it's the largest. And then the second largest is another one that was connected to water for a short period. We connected these trees for about 9 months. They're 8 years old, so this tree is getting very close to being a fruiting size. So I'm going to work my way over to the sugar apples and the sugar apples and the Adamoyas and the Ilama. Okay, it's a jungle in here. There's a little cashew tree. I've planted a lot of cashews in here. They're doing good. I had a red Adamoya, but where is it? I don't even know where it's at. Here's a sugar apple. I don't know who it is, but here's a Adamoya. Is this the Adamoya? Yes, it's not Adamoya. No, this is a sugar apple. I don't know. There's a sugar apple here. But I see lots of fruit on our sugar apples, and it looks good so far. There's lots of flowers and fruit, little tiny fruits, and lots of big flowers, so that's a good sign. Seems like they're a little later this year than in years past, but they usually don't ripen up until summer. But I see lots of fruit on this tree, and here's a llama tree that has flowers on it. I'm pretty sure this is a red variety. It's got very dark flowers. I've never seen it flower like this before. It looks like a fruit set there. Hopefully that's the case. Certainly looks like it. It's got lots of big flowers. They're very dark red, so I'm fairly certain this is a dark red fruited variety. I don't know what it is. Here's our sugar apples. We always seem to get a lot of sugar apples. Some of them get anthracnose, but I found that anthracnose enhances the flavor of fruit, so I don't like it, but I have to look at the good in it, and I'm not about to spray copper into the system and destroy the biology that provides the enzymes and the nutrients to the trees. So I'm just not going to do that and kill life, because that's what copper does. So I would never spray any fungicide or anything like that. We used to be biodynamic certified. We aren't anymore. We used to be organic certified. We are not anymore. I still believe in organic or biodynamic farming, but they don't teach you how to grow, and then they have dogma that I don't know if I'm completely on board with, continuously having to do that year after year after year for the rest of your life. I just think that this is a self-sustaining farm system now. And once we remove the cattle and I stop doing any sort of input, I'll be able to see the results. So I did not give these sugar apples any compost or manure inputs for over a year. There are rules against applying raw cattle manure or any raw manure. If you're selling food to the public, you have to wait 120 days before you can sell it to the public after you apply it. So we follow those rules. I try to follow all the laws. We do not sell skywood because we do not have a nursery license. I have never aspired to be a nursery. That would seem like a natural progression for a farm like this, but I worked in a nursery at a friend of mine and I hated it, so I knew. I don't know why I couldn't put together the fruit sales and the nursery kind of being the same thing, but I couldn't. I wasn't thinking back then. My gut health wasn't working correctly, but I quickly learned that, oh, why would I ever want to do this? But I get all this fruit for ourselves and I get to share it with people, so I do enjoy doing that. And we're going to try to hang on to this farm for as long as possible, and who knows how long we'll keep it, but I'm sure eventually we're going to sell it. Probably if somebody came with the right amount of money, we would sell it, but it ain't cheap. So Florida is not cheap anymore. You can't get, I've never seen a real estate like this in my life where the entire state went up in value, like 50% in 2 years. So it's like, it's crazy. We happen to be on the best agriculture street in all of Vero Beach, so it's like too close to everything. And we have this farm system here that produces all this fruit so that we have fruit year-round every day, pretty much unlimited fruit. Look at those mangoes. So it's like it's paradise basically. These are chewy sugar apples. I can't wait for those. They were waiting for the rains. They look good. Some trees don't have any sugar apples on them, but these little tiny flowers do not produce fruit, but the large flowers do. So that little flower up there will not produce fruit, but the large flower will produce fruit. So I'm not sure why they do that, but I think they just do it to attract insects maybe, or I don't know. Maybe one's a male flower. I have no idea. I'm just saying. As long as they produce fruit, I'm okay. Long ends. So this tree is pretty close to having ripe fruit. This is a Florigon tree, and they're getting close. This tree was covered in powdery mildew, by the way, and it still produced a lot of fruit. It's a tiny little 4-year-old tree, so without ever being watered. This tree never bloomed. It bloomed twice. I see the creatures got both fruit off this tree. Boy. There was only 2 fruit hanging low down here, and that's all that was on this tree. Which is odd that this tree never flowered. This is a Namdak Mai. But Namdak Mai has been one of those fruits to flower multiple times a year and off season, so I'm not too worried about it. We have some Namdak Mai fruit. It's just a bad mango year overall. I noticed none of the trees around here have mangoes on them, so just for us to have mangoes and to have little tiny pea-sized fruit on some of our trees means that it's not all a loss. And we have 270 grafted trees, and this tree had flowers all over it, but I see none of it produce fruit, and it didn't have any powdery mildew. So it was because of the heat. The heat prevents trees from setting fruit, mangoes in particular, and the MB will set fruit, but it will drop it if it's hot. And That, I believe, is the reason why people in Arizona and further south don't fruit a lot of MB, possibly. I don't know. I don't know for sure. It's a combination of things. I don't know how they grow. You have to know how people grow. People say, oh, I got this, this, and this. And it's like nobody ever asks, well, how do you grow? What do you feed your plant? It's just like the doctor's office. They don't ask you what you eat. What do you eat? Are you eating organic? What do you eat in a day? No doctor has ever asked that, ever, for me. And I've asked all my friends, and none of them have been asked that. I guess you have to go to a nutritionist to get that, or a metabolic doctor to get somebody to ask that. But medicine's trying to change, and that's good. So farming hopefully is on board. Florida in particular is such an amazing spot. I see the creatures are scratching these mangoes, so maybe I need to pick them. That's a Florigon also. It doesn't look like a Florigon though. It's got a weird shape, but I know it's a Florigon. I've had it before. This is a Kezar mango, covered in mangoes. This was my favorite mango last year. This is all on one branch. I had to put it up. Look at those little mangoes. I leave the tall grass, protects the mangoes from the creatures seeing it. Anyway, I'm Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm. This is Florida Natural Farming. That's our cashew and our sugar apple status, and our MB and Gardneriana, different Garcinias, different fruit status of different trees. Currently, it seems like stuff is moving along. We have fruit. I don't know how the mango season's going to be this year, but you know, it all works out good because now I don't have to stress over getting rid of ginormous amounts of mangoes this year. I'll save it for next year, but I'll have plenty still. Anyway, this is Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm. This is Florida Natural Farming. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a nice comment. Thanks.